Welcome to the Forsaken Adventures of Yugarichi the Priest, a World of Warcraft tale. Welcome to Chronicles of Earth 9 as we present to you the adventures of Yugarichi, the Shadow Priest. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You'll be notified when all our videos release, which tend to be released on Fridays. Where we left off, we were just sent out to collect some spiders. This mine has been inundated by spiders, and we're short on manpower, so they want us to go over and deal with these. As you see, our attributes are slowly building up. Our main attributes, you have more than those attributes, but those are the main ones that show up as you enter your priesthood. Here we go. Remember, we're on stage, and this is the first video that you're watching. This is part 2 of episode 1. Today's video was recorded on the 31st of December 2020 at 16:28 in the afternoon. The voiceover is being produced or recorded on the 19th of January 2021. It's now 6:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the evening. If you hear any background noise, we're recording this, and there might be background noise. I've decided I was never going to worry about pristine conditions anymore. I'm just going to produce the video and record. Every time I strive for pristine condition, something always ruins it. So you're better off just not even worrying about it. It's just background noise. And, we're walking over. We're gonna deal with some of these guys. Now, as a priest, you are really using your range as sort of your armor. So you want to approach any foe. It'll light up white on your UI, so you know you're within range. 40 yards is about the long range in World of War. I believe 40 yards is the long range. So forth. And you want it so that as the thing gets closer and closer, the combat becomes more lethal. And then right now we only have one weapon, so that's our staff. But as we get more weapons, we'll populate our tray there with different weapons, and they're really different. One's a two-handed weapon. We have a medium one-handed weapon, and a fast one-handed weapon. Usually a wand and an offhand item to help out your offensive ability and defensive ability. And we'll populate that in. You'll see as we go forth. This episode's only about 59 minutes, short of 59 minutes. Once you add all the graphics in, it's just under an hour. So we're role players, so if you're expecting this to be like on most YouTube videos, a lot of the people are what I call the raiders, tomb raiders. And, they mainly they treat World of Warcraft more like a sport, and that's good. I like it. I like watching a lot of those, mainly on Twitch. The one I really watch is Laura. She's a really good streamer. I like watching her people raid. They're a lot of fun, and I like watching. I watch a lot of channels just sitting by. These days I use Twitch and YouTube mainly as television, so I learn about the world. And I don't really watch television. I haven't watched television in 4 years. Other than the Young and the Restless, I have no idea what's going on regular television. I don't watch network news because they're all propagandists. Don't care to. If I want to hear propaganda, I'd rather hear it from people on Twitch and YouTube. At least on some level, they did basic research. Right. And I find I like playing role-playing games. I'm a role player, and that's how we're trying to present these videos as a tale of Yugarichi, and you're following her adventure through Azeroth at this point. And coming into the second part, the introduction was in the first part, and we're 3 years after the Lich King has died, and Sylvanas has returned. And we don't know that she has returned. We don't know that she went off to do other things, but we'll meet up with her a little later in the story. Role players, but we're taking it as we are. So we walk everywhere. The game is essentially a stage. We're just the role player performing in our role as a priest. We're encountering Azeroth as a newly risen, forsaken priest. Our little pet there is a what they call him. It's the undead version of a wisp. They're the remnants of the Lordaeron. Their spiritual essence that are still around. In paganism, there's a concept that your body is just a shell that inhabits a spirit, and as you go through your life cycles, and there are 12 of them, and you die and you're born again, dying through 12 stages, and your spirit grows. You're basically a larva walking around. And the real life form is the spirit that's grown, and then when you eventually die and rise to the heavens, space, energy is absorbed by the sun, basically. And then when the sun eventually builds and builds over millions and billions of years, it collects all that soul, the fiery, what they call the fiery pit of hell. But it's really, it's your connection to the spirit. In paganism, there's a, and we do this with Chronicles of Earth 9. It's I borrow heavily on it, but outside of space and the universe is they call the living spirit, and it's just an energy being, and that's what a lot of people refer to as God, El Yahweh, and the universe itself, matter, is just small little like orb. They float around with other universes, and our universe floats around at a speed of 300,000 kilometers a second. That's why the speed of energy, the speed of light is constant in our universe. Time is constant because it's measured by that. And I kind of always visualize time is, if you think of fractions, you have a numerator and a denominator, and I think of life as basically your will over the will of God, which is time. And then so the God is like the whole, and you're part of that. And so we expand on that in our lore, and connecting World of Warcraft up with Chronicles of Earth 9. We try to follow that. I pretend that Azeroth is within the ninth universe. That's where I write all my fan fiction, and then so we're basically adding our lore on top of what's already established in the lore that everybody else is a part of. And our story is, our job is to basically write Yugarichi's story as she became undead, forsaken on Azeroth. And in our fiction, we believe that Azeroth is just another planet in the universe. We don't know where in the universe it lives, but somewhere in the universe, Azeroth is a real place. And that's our fiction. So we're returning back. We took the quick travel back to the tavern, and then now we're just walking back to this guy. Well, it's a start. It'll take a few weeks or months to fully clean out the infestation. After that, we'll have to get down there with some torches and burn away the webbing. You've done your duty well, Yugarichi. He hands us the vest. and some cash. We love cash. Just a silver coins. While you were inside that cave, your big friend Darnell came by with some alarming news. Since the Valkyrie arrived, we've seen more and more undead that chose not to join our forces under the gathering at a small camp near the valley. And now they've organized forces. They plan to attack Death Knell Priest. Darnell is just down the road to the east. Be careful, Yukarichi. While those undead aren't completely brainless, they're still not quite right in the head. One thing I noticed a lot of people do in World of Warcraft is they only pick one weapon. They only walk around with one weapon, and I call them the one weapon group. And you can only have one weapon. You're really, the way the game is you carry all those weapons that you're proficient in, and then when the battle calls for it, you switch them out because it's a skill type attack. And outside of your abilities, which are usually power based, if you're this type of character, but it allows you to have skills that you utilize on top of abilities. Now, in the more recent, when Cataclysm came out, and they moved on from what was the classic World of Warcraft, weapon skills kind of went away, and I think that's sad because it really defined you as a character, and especially if you became skilled in all those and you could overcome things where your abilities or talent, like in DC Universe Online, you can grow your skills and you can grow your abilities, and so you kind of have to do both because it makes you more versatile in battle, and you should always try to develop all your abilities to the best that you can, and it's a gradual process and takes time. Yukarichi, you made it. You see those tents up there? That's where we're headed. The battle has probably already started. I read that kind of loud. I was trying to read away excitement. While you were taking care of matters for Executive Aaron, I went off on an assignment of my own. Shadow Priest Sarvis asked me to peek in on the Rotbrain camp. There's a reason why they're called Rotbrains. Their leader goes by the name of Marshal Redpath, and he's an absolute beast. Look, Yugarichi, the attack is starting. You better, in combat than I am, go in there and help out. When you're done, meet up with Shadow Priest Sarvis in the chapel. Good luck, Yukarichi. Good luck. Basically a government worker who outsourced his job to us. Bribed us with a staff. Typical government employee. Trying to adjust my lighting here. Alright, crisis averted. I adjusted all the lights. It's producing a glare on the screen, and it's very hard to read some of the dialogue. So I turned up the light so my eyes can overcome the glare. Showing the things so people following along have a sense of where we're at in the world. Context. Context is important. Part of the story. Now see, we got 2 weapons, and I loaded them up so that we can switch them in and out of battle. And then we're gonna get a 3rd weapon here after we complete this. So we're slowly rounding out, and then on the left there, I rounded out. Those are all still basic priest abilities, but I grouped them in where we have our smite power, we have our protection, and then our big finishing power is Mind Blast. So what you gotta do with there is, as you're doing the battle, you watch the health of the thing. As it drops below 30%, you hit that Mind Blast. Now in a lot of games, they call that your 30% health, and a lot of damage dealers have that ability where you wait till you get the thing drops below 30%, and you hit that, and then it gives you a lot of damage. Now, usually with a lot of magic-based characters, warlock, mages, priest, range type of people, they won't say that in the actual description. You have to figure it out, but that's what Mind Blast is here for Shadow Priest. That's how I'm interpreting. That's why they gave it to you first. It's a finishing move for you, and that's why it has a countdown. Your Smite and Smite are your bread and butter power. So I set them up in order from left to right. So when the battle starts, I do the Smite, followed by with a Smite, and then because at that time they're probably running towards you, and then you build your defense, and then between that and the slow weapon, which is the staff, that's gonna attack. And that gives us time for the Mind Blaster. Now, we notice we're missing a lot, and that's because we're standing too far back. And so if you're missing a lot, you should move forward into the battle. And they don't really tell you that in the game. I learned that. I took Hapkido back when I was in the Navy. One of the things that the master taught us was that when you're in battle, combat, especially in personal combat, the natural tendency is to move away from the battle. So most people, when they taunt you or move towards you, they're trying to startle you, because people have anxiety. In battle, your instincts generally take over. You don't have a lot of time to think, and most people's natural instinct is to avoid and move away. So what you want to do is move towards the target in combat. One, it's not expected, and 2, it gives you an advantage. Now here, in some of the instances, we're trying to do this in a way where we're managing the battle one target at a time, but in the case that we pull more than one, I have worked out a procedure in my head how to overcome that. And it's just pace yourself out. Now myself, I like using food and drink when we're not in combat. So like if the battle ends and I need to heal up, I'll use the food. I seldom don't really need drink because I don't usually waste mana, but I generally do that out of combat. And then when I'm adventuring, I don't go crazy. But now see there, we have all the different weapons. I'm looking over to remember what they are. So we got the dagger, we got this mace, and we got the staff. So we just need to buy the dagger. That's what we need. And then that's what we're going to do. And see there down in that bottom trays for weapons, and the tray above that are your like buffs. So we're going to be a alchemist, herbalist. So that's going to be all our potions and stuff will be there, along with the food. food you can readily buy or make, which I normally make it, but just for fun. And then that usually with role playing, you want to do things that maximizes your money, because you're usually poor, and so living off the land, camping, going outdoors. When you're going on adventures, you usually camp a lot, and so you want to take your food, and then just to get going, they give you free food. Sometimes I buy the free food, but for the most part, I buy I make everything that I have, and then at some point, once you cross a certain level threshold, like 10 and 15 and 25 is a big one, there's like stages that you cross, and growing stages, and then you can sell off that food that you don't use for money, and then you restock till you can make a new food of that type. But professions are a lot more relevant in role-playing, because what professions do is, as you go through and you adventure and you eventually cap, and they reduced the cap now to I think 60. I don't know what it is, but it was like 120 and then went back down to 60. Being born again under the power of a Valkyr is strenuous process. Many don't survive the shock, turning into zombies or ghouls. Others retain just enough humanity to seem normal on the outside, but they're sick inside. We should have slain those rot brains the day they were raised. As for you, you are strong, priest Yugarichi. I knew you would do well. You'll be headed out of Death Knell soon. And he rewards us with a staff. It's kind of nice. Sarvis produces a piece of paper from within his robes. These will need to be taken to my field agent, Death Guard Simmer. This information contains the whereabouts of the last few holdouts of the Scarlet Crusade. We will destroy these crusaders once and for all. And I have a feeling you'll be instrumental in that effort, Yukarichi. Take the road north, out of Death Knell. Soon after entering Terraceful proper, you'll see a large manse simmers inside. I believe the correct pronunciation is manse. It's 2 syllables and not manse. It's like mansion. Yeah. So the root word would be manse. Although an English person would probably say manse. I think it's French. It's where it just derived from. It's where manor comes from. Manse and mansion. Goes back to the feudal system of Europe. I forget. Oh, we were talking about the weapons, but and role-playing, and role-playing is a lot slower, and the professions have a little more relevance to what you're doing, and they're designed so when you get to the end of your not end of your career, but long in your career, you're not really leveling anymore. That's what professions are designed. It's how you make money beyond the adventure. If you look at a lot of the people you meet in towns, they're usually retired adventurers, right? They're running a business, they're making and building stuff. So you'll reach a point in the character's progression where you're going to become one of those kind of people. And so through your adventures, you become a craftsman through the lore. So you take your time, and you know, a lot of people run out and they try to do the professions like in one day. It's not really how it's designed. In a role-playing setting, you make it as you go, and you slowly progress through the time and lore. And through 3 years, because not Cryptic, but Blizzard goes in 3-year intervals, and yeah, it's kind of cool. But it's a 3-year process that we're going to go through here. So I'm going to talk to the main supply guy and sell all our stuff. Stuff we don't need. And then stuff, and then
Trust no one.
I'm going over here because I think the weapon guy is over here. My problem with World of Warcraft is finding other role players. One guy I used to go with, Roger. He's kind of,
What would you
I guess he
ask?
retired from gaming. But here we are. We're gonna grab the dagger is what we need. Now, any weapon you get is gonna suck, but we just need that to complete our weapon loadout, and then so we're gonna get the wand when we go to High Command. They give you a free one, so we're not gonna worry about that. We don't really need it, but you need the basic 3 here. So one's a slow two-handed weapon, does a lot of damage. The other's a medium one-handed weapon, and the other's a fast. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it allows you to attack, and they do different type of. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, the dagger does more piercing damage, and mace does blunt damage, and staff is just more of a intermediate range, and it does blunt damage, but it's fast weapon usually. Usually staffs are fast, but they like walking around with a big bat, and a little bit stronger than a mace. They're usually slow, but you change it on the fly just by clicking on it, and then in the auto attack there in the middle. That's now eventually I'm gonna take the where you eat people and will at a Forsaken. I move those usually to the top at some point once the bottom one gets a little more populated, because those aren't really things you're going to do in combat. They're more upkeep type of weapons. So if you come to a point where you can't eat readily, you can eat the corpses around you. That's the life of a Forsaken. Never really have to worry about food. Just go kill something and just eat it in raw state, and you're generally good at that point. Good eatings, eatins. So here we are. We're traveling. Usually you hit the auto. And Blizzard, it's the number lock button. And if to walk, you use the slash button on the number pad, and that switches you in and out from walking and running. And then in the lore, Forsaken don't like to run because it's painful for them. And so we're kind of mimicking that. And I like walking on stage. I don't like running on stage. In this Adventures to First, I really actually used a horse to travel. I always get a horse because they always come with the Warlock, but I seldom use it because I walk everywhere in the game usually. And if I can walk there, I will. But sometimes when I get with other people, they're kind of in a hurry, and then they always make you go by the quick travel, which in my turn just wastes money. And it's not fun because they built all these stages and all this scenery, and you don't never get to enjoy your adventure. And I like going from place to place slowly, and it's one of the reasons why I end up not playing with a lot of people, is because they get tired going really slow and they sort of run away and move on. Most people aren't slow players, and that's sad. But that's the way I like to play. It's a lot of fun for me. Like when I used to go on vacations when I had a really good job. A lot of people go on vacation and like go running around, go kayaking, do like all this crazy adventure. I don't do any of that. When I go on vacation, my idea of a great vacation is just go to a hotel, go in bed and sleep for days. And like if you went there with like a family or other people, I would let go. I'm going to stay in and watch the room. I would sleep the entire time. That to me is a great vacation. If I could just, the favorite thing I love to do is just sleep whenever I can. And it's like a cat. I just like sleeping, and I feel great. And I don't like running around places. And I used to be able to run. I liked running, but I can't run anymore because I have titanium in my body. I can't run anymore. I have to walk everywhere. But I like walking. And it's a better adventure if you take your time and enjoy the scene. So here we are leaving the starting area. And we're moving out into a bigger, brighter world. Like, what did Obi-Wan Kenobi say? I love Star Wars. Star Wars Galaxy is modeled after World of Warcraft, and I love Star Wars, the Old Republic. I played the only reason why I don't really play it is because my iPad died and it had the locking mechanism on it, and I can't unlock the game, and I kind of let the count lapse. But at some point, I'm gonna modify that. Probably just could turn that off, but it probably would just send you an email and deactivate it. But then you wouldn't get any of the free shit. Right? Unless there was a way that they could send you the locking thing, not through an iPad, but like on a PC, then I would use it. But I don't have my iPad anymore. It's technically there. I leave it charging, but it doesn't do anything. So that's one of the reasons I stopped. Because you can play Star Wars The Old Republic for free. And I bought all the expansions, so I own them, right? Up until I stopped playing, if they added new ones, I haven't bought any of those. But I would probably buy them. That way you own it. I kind of wish World of Warcraft went to a free-to-play sort of model, but they're probably never going to do that. It's their bread and butter. This guy mainly to sell stuff, and we wanted to upgrade our backpacks here. And generally I talk to this woman first, Teresa. And then I was looking for something, but I forgot what I was looking for. I have forgotten what I was looking up there, but I can teach you the basics of any gathering or production profession, but that's all. To learn more than one and apprentice skills, you'll need to visit a specialist dedicated to one profession. You can learn up to 2 professions. 2 gathering, 2 production, and 1 of each, or 1 of each. I normally get all the professions. I like archaeology, that's a lot of fun. If you're really into the lore and adventure, archaeology is a must-have because it allows you to go and do things and collect data in the lore that wouldn't readily be available to anybody else. Like, if you go through the little library there in the Undercity, there's a lot of lore for Lordaeron, and it's not available anywhere else in the game. In the lore, other than the Forsaken and Sylvanas, no one knows what happened to the people at Lordaeron and the elves and stuff, because no one wrote any books on it. The only one that had any knowledge of it, he died in the book Before the Storm. He dies, and he was the only one that could write it. So no one outside of the Forsaken knows anything of what occurred under Arthas and stuff, and what actually happened to Sylvanas. No one actually knows in the lore. In terms of Alliance and Horde, no one really knows. They have the basic idea what happened, but no one really knows. Now, as a player of the game, you know what has happened to her, but like Anduin was a little kid at the time when this stuff happened to Lordaeron, and his father wasn't really witness to anything, and none of that, no one had ever written down what happened. Even Kalia Minethal, she has no idea what has happened to the Forsaken. The fact that she's wandering around acting like she's here. Oh, hi. Oh, I'm not gonna read that, but it's just telling you basic profession. So we got herbalism there. You got the gathering skill and in the bag, and then the other one I get is usually with this I get alchemy, and then one collecting, one production skill, and you'll do the collecting really early on, and then if you're soloing a lot like we're probably going to do, that's a good skill. Again, professions are more for if you're a role player in the game. If you're a raider, you'll probably never see the benefit of the profession. But if you're a adventurer and role player, it gives you something to do other than walking around and killing stuff. Some other purpose. So I gotta get the shovel. Definitely need that, and we need another bag. But I was hoping to get a herb bag, but there isn't one here. Yeah, the guy in the other area has it, but we'll get this one for now. That way we have our 3 main bags and then 1 bag for our gathering. Now, priest. Why I wanted to play a priest as a Forsaken was I never really have played healer in World of Warcraft, and it's really what I wanted to play because I've always played a warlock, and I love warlock. I've always played a demonologist, which I love, and healer kind of I think is a good soloing character, and holy priest Forsaken is rare. The Forsaken didn't really, they can't really use the light. It damages them and it hurts them. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to build a Forsaken that uses the light. It'd be kind of interesting in the story. And to be a priest, and it's, I guess it's in a story element, it'd be about faith. And what faith really is absent of knowledge and experience. If you don't know something, you sort of take it on faith that it's true. You don't know it to be true. Once you know something to be true, it's no longer faith. At that point, it's knowledge, right? And experience. So I feel on some level it would be a cool sort of take on faith. Deathgar Simmer looks at you expectantly. Vital intelligence. Yes. What do you want? Yes, this is very good news. You've done well in obtaining this information, Yugarichi. Names of the Scarlet Crusade officers in the terrestrial glades. Imagine the blow we could deal to the morale of those bloody zealots if we were to kill their leaders in one swift strike. I will pass this information forward. Humans are notoriously fickle creatures. The farmers to the west are no exception. Sure, they may be plowing their fields peacefully now, but tomorrow they may be raising their scythes against us. The Alliance looms close by in Gilneas, and the power of Stormwind looms in the south. Any of these could recruit these tillers and use them as a wedge against us. I want them dead. See to it that it's done. Be all dramatic. Yugalichi. This reading the dialogue makes me happy that I took a Latin and Greek in college. I took Japanese a long time ago. I can translate Japanese, but I can't I'm not fluent in Japanese. I can't translate. I gotta sit down and work it all out on paper. And then watch it. But when I see the lettering, I know it's Japanese. Same thing with Greek and Latin. I can translate it as long as I got a piece of paper in front of me. What have we here? You look like a fledgling priest. If you hope to prove yourself to the Dark Lady, you need to learn the ways of the Forsaken. To the west, you'll find a farm. Humans infest the land like mold on a rotting corpse. The worse yet, the Scarlet Crusade patrols nearby from their towers. Teach those scum a lesson and steal 10 of their precious pumpkins. Once you have 10, bring them back to me. That is all. Simple.
Remember, patience.
I like this old guy up here. He's kind of funny. Now, in the classic, this building wasn't here. They added it in, so it's been built in the last... here we go.
I'm listening.
You work hard your whole life, and what do you get? Killed by a plague. Then you work even harder in undeath, and what do you get? Money, yes. And a small estate with a few pesky hang-ons. But happiness, not so much. I'm lonely in my old age, Yugarichi. I need a companion. Use this leech on one of those murlocs at the Whispering Shores to the northwest. You'll have to weaken it first before it can be leashed. Then bring it back to me.
Trust no one.
Yeah, this house would have been built in the last 3 years. So, it's a fairly new thing. So we're gonna go and go west. And we're at 41 minutes, so we just got time to part way through this, and then we move on to part 3. Again, I'm trying to keep the UI basic to what it would be if once you unlocked the game and it was set up right out of the box, and nothing majorly complicated. We just got that word power there, so these are our priest abilities, and then at some point we're going to unlock the unholy stuff, or holy stuff, and then so we're populating all our priest abilities again to the left, and then our advanced skills and abilities will be to the right. And then I usually put utility stuffs on the right, so like animals, travel powers, pets, professions usually go on the right. And then I put all my weapons in that little center area. And then I put all my potions and food products in that top part, usually. Well, we'll continue on our adventure. We're gonna go capture this guy first, and then we'll do the other stuff later. We'll kill it if stuff we need is on the way. We'll make haste of it, or waste of it. But we're gonna kill a couple of these foul beasts in our way. Stand between us and our goal. Tonight's been a cool night. I'm working on all our World of Warcraft. I worked on all our DC Universe stuff earlier, and Star Trek Online stuff. I did that, and then I downloaded all our stuff from the PlayStation, the World of Tanks. Now I'm doing all the remaining DC Universe files. Because I record Friday through Tuesday on the PlayStation, and then I spend Tuesday night and Wednesday moving the files over, or at least load them up to the PC. And then they take an hour to transfer, because they're hour-long files. But while they're doing that, that's when I work on producing videos, because it takes about 2 hours to produce a video. Get it all worked out, do the sound. It takes an hour to do the voiceover. And then you gotta sit through it again to make sure it all works. And then I do that Tuesday through Thursday afternoon. And Thursday I go back into our video production mode, and then I usually record. I get back up at 5 in the afternoon. I try to get to bed around noon. I get back up around 5 in the evening, and then I usually start recording World of Warcraft around 6 p.m. and then that's an hour, and then I record The Sims 4. I just started playing that, so I have that as a series. And I record that for an hour, and then I finish off with Star Trek Online. And that takes us to the 9, and then from 9 to 11 I rest. I mainly watch Twitch, watch other Twitch streamers, catch up on my YouTube videos at the time, and then I watch Twitch streamers. And then by 10:30 I'm usually into the pre-show setup, where you gotta I basically shut the computer down, let it restart completely, clear out all the memory, and then I reload all my programs, and then I set it up with the cameras in the OBS studio. I do all the graphics for the night, adjust it all, and set up the radio. We have a radio station that we stream music through Pandora. We use that on the stream. And then when we record stuff, we record it on the PS4, at least during the stream. That way we get a clean copy of the game. You don't have to worry about sound and stuff getting on top of it, voiceovers. And then I sit down and move those over from the PlayStation to the PC 3 days out of the week. And then whatever you get done, you get done. And then at some point at the end of the month, files that we moved over and actually have produced the video, then I start deleting the old files on there. I wait till it gets on the YouTube as a release, and then I start deleting stuff in case there's a sometimes when you load stuff to YouTube, it doesn't go right away, or something happens and it doesn't work, and you end up having to go back to the source video, rerun where you put it in the format it needs to be. That's a 4-hour process, and then I'll reload back to I'll reload up to YouTube hopefully in 15 minutes, and then YouTube can take anywhere from an hour to most of the day to process your video. I give it a day. I give it a complete 24 hours, which I usually load up. I usually do my processing when I'm sleeping, and that's a 4-hour period, but that builds up your queue. And then on Thursday I load everything up to YouTube, and once they're all processed, and then sometime at night before the stream starts, usually in my the 10 o'clock hour, I will set it all up for release on Patreon, and then all the stuff that's on Patreon that's been up there for a week, I then release that to YouTube for public, and that seems to be a good system. They get a lot of stuff done. But when we started recording these, I wasn't really sure how much time to put on them, and then I eventually figured it out what would be ideal, which is about an hour, 59 minutes or an hour. And then it works out great. And then so we were sort of backlog on videos, and then in the last 2 weeks I've been really pushing out the videos, at least building up the queue of them. So now after Martin Luther King Day, which was yesterday, I can kind of, between now and the end of January, take it easy and just go into a nice working pace that even if you get behind in your release, that actually works to your benefit, because it's always better to have a lot of videos to release. If you're only releasing 1 or 2 videos a week, then your queue's gonna fill up, right? And they're already loaded to YouTube, so it makes it easy to, so even if you get behind in your video production or backlogged, you still are ahead in release. The way I'm trying to do, I released the farm sim stuff, And I loaded up the Sims stuff, but it's been on Patreon for a week, so come this Friday, I'm going to be releasing the Sims for the first time on Sims 4. And then I got to load a new... this week I've been making all the videos that I'm going to upload on Thursday, make sure they're all ready to go. So I've been producing them one sort of, I'm going to say entity, like World of Warcraft's an entity, Star Trek Online, and Sims 4, Farm Sim, their own titles. So I make sure the episode is done, and then including all the parts, and then that way when we release them, they're released at least by episode in parts. And then so if it's a 4-part series, just you release part 1 moving forward, and then that it gives you 4 weeks to really get that out there. So as you're collecting new videos and producing them, there are plenty in the queue. And once they're released to YouTube, then you can delete all the like raw files and production files and use to make the video, because at that point you don't need them anymore. But that tends to work out pretty good. That way you don't run out of hard drive space on a PlayStation or a PC. And yeah, I think our video production, at least in 2020, is really kicking it. Because I write fan fiction novels, and I release them to YouTube. So I'm trying to get to where our schedule's paced out enough to where I have days that I'm writing, which the writing time is usually when I'm on Twitch. When I do my Twitch hour is when I move my writing times, which is about an hour and a half to write in. The way I write, that's a lot of time. As long as you get it, something written down 5 days out of the week, you're okay. Which I strive for about 13,000 words a month to write. So that's a pretty good pace. 144,000 words a year. And I release all our novels, our video novels. I call them mobbles. Some people think I'm mispronouncing novels, but they're mobbles. And they're basically not full-length novels with a video and audio layer to them. And I can't do the 3D stuff yet for it, but I've been putting still photos in them, just so people kind of get an idea of how they work. And we release them as we're making the novels, so they're kind of like a work in progress. If you read them, you kind of get to go through the creative process of how the books are developed, and that's really enjoyable. Now we got the guy didn't read the thing for the Murloc. Oh. Here we're coming up to the end. We're gonna go deal with the farmers now. Got another bag. And then we're gonna, as we acquire more money, we're gonna slowly replace them with the 8 slot bag. Here we are coming up on the end. We're at the 53-minute mark. I'm trying to get in the habit to when we're doing these productions. So just like a 3-parter, you do the voice overall at the same, around the same relative time, so it's all fresh in your head and it makes sense. I discover if you do it like 1 part now and wait a week, when you come back to do the 2nd part, what usually happens, at least with me, is you're like totally forget what you did in the first one, and then it doesn't really make sense from a continuity point of view. Concise story, but I find if you do it all around the same relative time period, you sort of minimize that. effect. That little building there, because I play Farm Sims 19, I know that's a chicken coop. One of the things I love with playing Farm Sims 19 is that stuff that you really didn't really know anything about, you spot out on farms and stuff with all these little buildings, and you kind of just know what they are. That's a chicken coop. World of Tanks, you drive through people's farms, you see these buildings, and you know, yeah, that's a chicken coop. Definitely a barn. What type of barn it is? Like, there's a difference between a cow barn, a dairy cow barn, and a cattle cow barn. A difference between a hay barn and a straw barn and a grass barn. And we're gonna get part way through here, and then that's where the thing's gonna end in a few minutes. But thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed part 2. I hope it's entertaining and people are following along and enjoying it. These videos are designed to sort of sit back and be played in the background. And if you're doing other things, they're supposed to be just entertaining, like television, basically. And then I hope people enjoy it. I like making these videos. They're a lot of fun. Hoping people will like them too. It bothers me that the humans, they do this in Classic when you come through this farm area. I hate that they run away. That's just annoying. You're gonna go through the process of attacking someone, at least have the decency to stand there and let them kill you. You don't run away like a little sissy. That's just mean. Now you gotta run after the guy, and you know, and that's it takes a lot of effort and work. Yeah. We're doing is pulling all the things that could be a potential ad. Kill that first. Work your way to the humans. And then work your way to... And now in the old days, you had to come through here really quickly because people would ninja you. They wait till you get heavily engaged and they run over and click on that pumpkin. That's how they do you back in the day. There's like 50 people running through this area, and you have to wait for stuff to respawn. That was kind of annoying. Good times, yeah. But see how the guy ran away? That's just annoying. I wish they would stop doing that. See a little flower over there. We'll go grab that. Usually profession stuff comes first. And you just gradually collect things. You don't have to go out there and grab her. You don't want to be greedy. Grab the ones that are right there, opportunity. And yeah, it's very enjoyable. You'll find that if you play this an hour out of the day. And that's the end. Thank you to our Patreon supporters that make all these videos possible. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and you'll just find out when we release new videos, new content. The Forsaken Adventures of Yugarichi the Priest, a World of Warcraft tale. I'm Agamemnon. Here's our page on Twitch, our streaming times. And we'll see you next time, and goodbye. Enjoy your day.